Have you ever had one of those moments when you react to something and maybe after you immediately think like, whoa, why did I react that big? Or maybe something kind of comes out of nowhere, it's seemingly small, and all of a sudden you're triggered. You went from like fine to all of a sudden your heart's beating, whatever, right? We have these moments where we react to something that actually in hindsight or from, a third party may seem disproportionate to what actually happened. And what's even better is when you're fully aware you're reacting in real time, you even have that awareness to go, right now I'm flipping out. What's going on? I'm watching myself and I can't stop it. These are the moments that we're going to talk about today. Our reactions, why we react to certain things more than other things. What are, quote unquote, buttons that we have and how to understand them. Because it's not always some deep, dark thing. Sometimes it is. We're going to talk about it from a bunch of different angles. We're going to talk about the nervous system. We're going to talk about emotional patterns, projection, the shadow, and also when is our reaction intuition and when is it an actual no feeling or a coping strategy or a wound showing up, right? So today, this is what we're talking about. Why we react the way we react, and not from a place, of course, of shame and not from a place of even trying to fix yourself. We are entering this era of no longer needing to fix ourselves, but we do want to be aware. We want to be aware so that we can implement the work we've already been doing, the things you've learned through therapy and counseling and self-growth and books and programs and courses and your own work. We can put it into play when we start to catch ourselves in these moments. We start to choose to respond versus react. So that's what we're talking about today, and I'm really excited. It's going to be a good one. I'm so glad you're here. If you are new to the show, hello, welcome to the Awakening Her podcast. My name is Talia Joy. I am your bestie on this self-growth journey, and today we are talking about an episode that I'm so glad you've dropped in on. If this is one of your first, it's going to be really good. So before we dive in, I am so excited to announce the True Transformation Summit. This is something I have been working on behind the scenes for months, and it honestly feels like one of those things that is so alive and so exciting that I just cannot wait to bring it to you. It's happening right here on the podcast, which means it's accessible to all, it is free, and let me tell you what it's all about. So in May, for the entire month of May, the podcast itself is becoming the summit. So I will be doing my normal solo episodes up until May, and starting May 1st for the entire month, this podcast is a self-growth portal. So what this means is we are going to be doing it a little bit different. We're going to have guest experts, daily and weekly episodes. We're going to have gifts and prizes and giveaways. There's so much going on. I am so excited for it. So the True Transformation Summit is truly breaking down the question, what does it take to cause true transformation? And I've invited more than 20 guests to come on from all different angles, all different expertise, from health to healing to the nervous system to wealth creation, success, business, relationships, intuition, and so much more. It's going to be so good. So really just to give you the brief overview, there are also links below you can click and get more information, see it written out. The weeks are going to be broken down in themes. So week 1 is all about the mind. We're talking about the mindset of success, reorganizing, rewiring your brain, and things associated with the mind part of transformation. Then week 2 is the body, and we're talking about everything from somatic, nervous system work to nutrition and health and hormones, movement, healing, and so much more. Week 3 is about abundance and success and leadership and moving forward. So we're going to talk business, we're going to talk wealth creation, wealth strategies, and really stepping into that next level of success. And then week 4 is all where where we get deep, we get spiritual. We're talking about manifestation, developing your channel, spirituality, and so much more. So, as I say, the podcast is going to be completely different for all of May, and then I'll be back in June with my regular episodes. And if you want to make the most of this experience, join the Insider Circle. The link is below. It is also free. So what this is you're really just going to get the inside scoop. All of our guests are offering us gifts and discounts and prizes and giveaways, and everything will be delivered to your inbox. The Insider Circle is also the only place where you can win prizes. So just by being in the circle, those are the names that get put into the draws. So you want to be there. You're also going to get week by week emails. You're going to get gifts from me, and really, again, just have that insider in the True Transformation Summit to make the most of it. So if you're done consuming information, if you want to get right to the point, if you want that question answered, what does it really take to cause true transformation in your bank account, in your body, in your mind, in your life, in your spirit, and you're ready to move into that, this is going to be for you. So I'm over the moon. It's been so fun having these interviews and connecting with all these powerful people that I personally invited to be here. You're going to have so much fun. So that's the first thing I want to mention. Yay, True Transformation Summit. Join the Insider Circle below. And then I also want to share something else that is coming forward right now. The details are all being ironed out as far as dates and all that stuff. This one is personal. It is powerful. It is deep on the growth path, and it is called Embodied. I-N-Bodied. And this is about coming home to your body. This is a program that I'm putting together that is so much more. And this is for people who are on a deep growth path, but still don't feel fully at home in their body. So you're rocking a lot of parts of life. You've made a lot of changes. You're on this path, but your body has been a hard place to be. So maybe you've done the mindset work. You understand your patterns, self-aware, or maybe you've got a strong intuition. You've listened to a lot of podcasts, you've done programs, you've done a lot of healing, but your body still feels like it holds tension, like it's hard to live in. It feels dysregulated. You might have a nervous system that's all over the place and you're just starting to become more aware of this. Or there's an underlying sense of just not being fully at ease. And this is where we go deeper. So Embodied is about bringing your success, your healing, your vitality, and everything back into the body. This is where we're working with nervous system regulation, how your body actually processes stress, simple, grounded nutrition that supports your system instead of overwhelming it. We're going to be talking about movement that's supportive and healing, and we're going to be going into emotional integration and releasing what your body has been holding, learning to understand your body more. This may be the missing piece for you. So I encourage you to get on the wait list for this program. You're just going to get the information so that you can know if it's a yes for you. So I'm really excited. This may be the missing piece that you've been experiencing, or at least the piece that you're ready for right now in your journey that's going to change everything. So make sure to check the link below right now. I'm just taking names for the wait list, but all the information is coming soon. Okay, that is all I have to say for now. Really excited for this episode. Let's drop in, take a deep breath. Relax your shoulders, maybe take a sip of water, and let's get into today's episode. So let's start here. Reacting is just you and your humanness, your mind, your body doing what it's meant to do. It's automatic. And as we evolve through self-growth, I feel like the talk was really about healing every wound and identifying every root a few years ago. But as we've kind of evolved the conversation, we start to realize that, I'm a human and I'm multifaceted, and sometimes I do have reactions or sometimes I do shut down. I also have light. I also have gifts. I'm also, have this to offer the world. We are all of it. So reacting itself is not bad. And it kind of comes back to the episode a few episodes ago, reacting versus responding. If you really like this conversation, you may enjoy that one if you haven't already listened. Because reacting is just the brain doing its thing. And it's our job to then pivot and redirect and kind of start to, again, respond instead of just react. But I want to just bring our attention to the fact that reacting is automatic. it's fast, it's charged, and it's usually coming from something. In these situations I'm talking about, like in the intro, when even logically, we know what's happening isn't that big of a deal, or it's one key word someone said, or it's just the way that someone looked at you or something. These things are coming from something deeper, and your body starts going like, no, like I've been here before. I know how this ends. Protect. And again, we're going to get deeper into this. So in the moment, it's one little thing someone does or doesn't do, and all of a sudden your body starts shutting down. Again, even if logically nothing is really happening, or it's not that big of a deal, or later you're like, wait a minute, all that happened is this person, didn't say hi to me or didn't tell me, I didn't get the call about the job. It doesn't mean you didn't get the job, you just didn't get the call, or whatever it is. Later you can logically look at it. But in the moment, there's the reaction. And this is where people get tripped up, people that are self-aware, like we are. We've been doing the work for a while, right? Because you can kind of say, I should know better. I'm self-aware. I understand the work, right? So why did I react? Or even sometimes when I was really into, and I think looking at your wounds is very, very important. But I kind of go like, oh, there's my abandonment wound. And then it's like, okay, why did I react? That was just my abandonment wound. Like, it's almost like I knew what it was, but I didn't really know what to do with it. And this is such an important conversation. This is why I'm really excited to talk about it, because this is happening to so many of us. And it's really important to, have this awareness and have this conversation. So when we're in that space, we're like, we start to low-key shame ourselves, really, is what happens often, because we're going, I shouldn't feel this way, or I know better than this, or like I was saying, oh, that's just my abandonment wound. Why am I still playing this out? Why am I still doing this? And that right there starts to keep us stuck in the cycle. We react, and then it's like, oh, I shouldn't feel that way. Or we react and we just never come back to it. We blow our lid, we shut down, cross our arms, and that's it. We never come back to it. So usually one of those two things are happening, where we're either aware that it's going on or we're totally not. Either way, it's a good conversation that you're in today, because it's important to start to notice it without judging yourself for it. So I want to talk for a second about the nervous system piece, because that is truly what's going on. That's why I'm creating this new program. That's what's changed my life in the last year. I knew about the nervous system for a bit, but the actual deeper understanding and what I'm going to kind of share here, it just changed my perspective and then changed my practices. And anyway, so zooming out for a second, your nervous system's job is not to keep you happy. And this could be the same as the body. Like, the body's job's not just to keep you happy, the brain, all that. It's to keep you safe. The nervous system's job is to keep you safe. Your nervous system is a network of communication in your body. So you hear it out there a lot, my nervous system, my this, my that, but like, your nervous system physiologically is a network. It's communication, it's nerves, it's information going between your brain, your body, and your environment. This is literally taking in information from your environment and dictating and sending information to your brain and to your body of how to think, how to move, how to respond, how to feel. So your nervous system is the network of communication that is always taking in information and deciding, am I safe or not? And then sending information to your brain, to your body, to your brain, to your body, right? It's made up of your brain, your spinal cord, nerves through your body, all that. So it receives information, processes it, and sends signals back. So when you really think about the body as a physiological thing, and kind of on a side note to that, I was trying to just quote unquote manifest or just change my life, just act different, just take action, just be high vibe, but not honoring or acknowledging the nervous system, my physical body. It's like we're trying to create outside ourselves, and we're trying to access higher levels of intuition or spirit or success or money or whatever, while ignoring the shell that we're in. It's like trying to make a car, like if you had a 1989 Honda Civic and wanting it to drive like a Lamborghini, but ignoring the entire shell, the entire engine, everything, going like it should be a Lamborghini. It's almost like we cannot ignore the physical body that we are in and expect multi-dimensional, exciting, out of this world, magical results. I don't know if that fully makes sense, but through this episode, it will. I was ignoring my shell and expecting something different. I was ignoring the home I was living in and my nervous system, expecting myself to just create it, just do it. And then that low-key shame would come in. Why haven't I done it by now? So this is where it gets really powerful. There are layers to why we react to things. There are layers to why we shut down. There's layers to why we can want something and equally be procrastinating or avoiding. It's not because we're wrong. It's not because you don't have like the codes of success. It is the nervous system. And when you start to see this, you stop making yourself wrong and you start to understand yourself better. And that's a huge piece of it. Sometimes you guys like to hear, or you'll hear when I jam out on the laws of the universe, and it's fun because it's not personal. It's not like you should be doing better. It's more like there's the law of cause and effect. What you do makes a difference. Every cause has an effect. Every effect has a cause. If you drink water, you will be hydrated. It's so not emotional. It's like, it's not your fault. It's not wrong or bad. It's science. So looking at it this way can like unburden us emotionally, because it's not that you're wrong, and it's not that you haven't had willpower, and it's not that you're just lazy or you just don't have what it takes, or you're just bad with money, or you're just bad. Like, it's none of those things. Or you're at a ceiling with clients, with income, and you can't break through. It's not those things. Understanding yourself better and understanding your nervous system will help you to not experience the sensation of we have one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. And that's the best way I can describe the nervous system work. Before we're aware of it, we have one foot on each, because I know you guys have a foot on the gas when it comes to growth and success and changing your life and creating awesome things and doing the shit and being everything you're meant to be. I know you're doing that. But there's also a foot on the brake for a lot of us, and it's that nervous system. So we're going to talk about the real reasons why we react. And this will allow us to not shame ourselves, but to have that awareness. So sometimes your reaction is coming from what you would think, probably by listening to this podcast. If I said, why do you think we sometimes have big reactions? Your answer might be, it's our emotional wounds, right? So the first reason why we react is a deeper emotional wound, something that has not been fully processed. And sometimes words are hard, because I used to hear people saying, it's a wound you haven't fully integrated. And I'd hear it and kind of go like, okay. And so I'm trying not to say the same thing I heard that didn't click, so that we can have more of it clicking, because it's so life-changing. So sometimes we have something we haven't fully processed or integrated. Some people say we haven't fully felt it. We haven't fully experienced it. It's all that. And say the abandonment wound that I experienced, or sometimes we just don't feel seen, or we don't feel chosen. Something happened in our life previously that was never fully closed. The chapter, the loop in our nervous system physiologically was never fully closed. So when something happens in the present, it taps on that same feeling. And you guys have heard, and in my book, I describe emotional wounds with a parallel to physical wounds, where it's like we have we got a gash, we were hiking, we got a big gash, but we never did anything about it. And so it kind of is like oozy and whatever. We might even slap a Band-Aid, but we didn't clean it. We didn't really deal with it. Something comes along that bumps it, and off flies the scab, off flies the Band-Aid, and it's oozing all over again. And that's what it is. It's like we don't deal with the wound. So then we start guarding it. Like, imagine the wound on your leg and you're walking around like, a social gathering, guarding your leg because it hurts, and you're acting different. Your body language is different. We now are focused on nothing bumping up against that. That's literally what happens emotionally. But when something comes along that does bump up against it, it's almost like, think of that, the wound flying open as the emotional reaction. It's almost like, whoa, what did we open up here, right? All he did was not call when he was late. Why did that send you into the wound flying open? And again, it's just being aware. I have that too. Everybody has that. And it's about that awareness. So when something happens in the present, it taps on that same feeling. So I one time had a situation where literally, I think my family, my husband or someone, I forget, it was a few years ago, but they didn't think I would be there for dinner. I was working, I was in my office, and they didn't think I'd be there for dinner. And I came down for dinner and they had already started eating. It was something, and there was like pancakes. I don't know if any of you guys remember the story. It was years ago now. And something about like there wasn't any pancakes left. And I was like crushed inside, and I was aware like, whoa, that's a big reaction. Cause they were like, oh, I thought you had a call. Like it really wasn't anything. And inside I like started crumbling, and I didn't react to them. I just kind of, I mean, I'm sure that they could read it cause they're family, but I went upstairs and I felt like I wanted to cry. And I took a moment and I was like, what is that? And I remember going like, oh, it's abandonment. It's like nobody cares. I'm left out. I'm alone, right? And then as I was doing that, I had been doing more inner child work, so I was able to move through that. And sometimes I notice that things come up like that where I'm like, oh, they don't even care, or that person doesn't even care. And it's that reaction. So that is definitely one of my emotional wounds. So it resembles something that was not even, it doesn't even always have to be a physical situation. Like the pancake debacle didn't resemble like my mom forgetting pancakes when I was a kid. It's the emotion of being left out. That's what tapped on the deeper emotional wound. So sometimes when we react, it's definitely that emotional wound. So as you are more aware of your wounds, as you guys are, if you know that you have something like abandonment or betrayal or trust as sort of a core wound, notice the little things that happen in your everyday life. And especially with the people in your life, like your boss, your partner, your friends, your social circle, maybe even reactions when you see a post on Instagram and it fires you up, or something that happens. Start to notice, like, does this resemble rejection? Does this resemble not feeling seen or feeling chosen? And that can be an opportunity for healing, because the key in this lifetime is to grow through what we go through. We don't have to be perfect. We just want to be aware and keep growing. So the first reason is emotional wounds. The second one is projection and the shadow. And sometimes what you're reacting to isn't really about the person, as we've talked about, or whatever. It's something within you. So the first one is like it taps on an emotional wound. The shadow and projection is more about something in yourself that you haven't truly owned, or a part of yourself that you've suppressed. And this goes deep, right? We're only in a podcast episode, so I'm just going to tiptoe. But when you see something in someone and it activates you, usually with shadow work, we start with like, what traits in other people like drive you nuts? So someone might say like lateness, or, you know, when somebody is weak, or like when someone's emotional, or whatever, when people lie, you know, and these things might be bad. I'm not saying lying's good. We're actually just asking, like, what are those things that just drive you nuts? And let's just tiptoe again. Often what's going on is there's a part of yourself that has to do with that you carry something about that you've suppressed, or in my book, I talk about hiding something in like the lowest level of your, like in the crawl space, in the basement, you know, and then having it under the floorboards, and you know, have a hatch door and you have a rug over it, and then you put a table there. It's like you really try to hide the deepest, darkest parts of yourself. And I don't mean the things you've done or your secrets. It's actually more the parts of yourself that are unresolved internally. So with shadow work, Carl Jung talks about how when we are activated by something externally, it's a part of ourself that we haven't owned, is basically how he says it. And that's where the shadow work comes in. It's not to judge yourself. It's just to be curious. So sometimes I notice where I'll think, I don't know if this is actually a thing. I'm just kind of pulling an example, making up an example, but it'll be something like, oh, they're always late. It drives me nuts. But then really, I notice I'm the one that's going to run late, or panicking about like, oh, I got to leave in a minute. Like, oh, I left this to the last minute, and then feeling bad for being late. It's kind of like my own potential for lateness, or I really don't like to be somebody who's late. So it's almost like let's paint this for real because I just went into the example. So I don't like being someone who's late. Since I've had kids, which has now been a long time, sometimes stuff goes sideways. Any of you parents, you're ready to go. Someone needs to use the washroom or somebody needs to, oh, we forgot the water, or you get halfway down the road. Like stuff happens. It's like herding cats around here sometimes. So sometimes I feel like, especially family gatherings and stuff, like I say I'll be there at 3, we're probably rolling up at 4. It takes a lot, but I don't like that. And especially out in the world, things like the bank or work, I never am late for that stuff. It actually means a lot to me that I'm on time. So when someone else is late, it like drives me nuts. But in the same way, when I am late, I can't own it. I can't integrate it. It's like, I hate it. It's kind of like, that's not me. And I reject that part of myself instead of just accepting it. So that's just, one random example, but these are the things that happen. That is shadow. And if you want a book on shadow work, Debbie Ford's The Dark Side of the Light Chasers, this is what introduced the shadow to me in a deeper way. And it's so good. But, just go into shadow work if you're ready, because it can be intense. Anyway, so the second reason we react is sometimes the shadow or projection. So that's basically the same thing. That's why I put them together. But sometimes it's like combining the first one and the second one. If there's a bunch of people that do something and they don't invite me and I go to be like, what the heck, or crumble inside, feel like a little kid, feel left out, something like that. And maybe I react. Maybe I call one of them or I text one of them and be like, not cool. I'm just kind of making things up because I'm not really that person, but maybe I just have this big reaction to it. F you, or you guys always leave me out. Like that's it. That would be projection. There's a part of me inside that feels small or feels rejected. So I'm going to blah it out on you, right? And that's a good thing to remember when people do it on you. When people lose their stuff on you, when people hold resentments or grudges, and you can be like, you are definitely projecting because that's whack. Anyway, okay, moving on. So the next reason that I want to talk about, and this happens a lot with clients, something may happen. Maybe you say you're going to go for a walk and then you don't, or you have a goal of getting this many clients and it doesn't happen. Sometimes there's like this big reaction or this big spiral and a client wants to shut down or has an emotional reaction. And there's so many times I'm reminding my clients, you know why you're reacting this way? It's because it means a lot to you. It's because you want success, you want change, you want a better tomorrow. So sometimes we have a big reaction and it's almost like frustration because we want it so bad. And sometimes we see others online or something that taps on like, oh, I wish I had that. But instead of it being jealousy, we can look at it like it just means a lot to me. Like I want more for myself, or I want more for my business, or I want to start this organization, or I want to find a partner because I want a family, whatever it is. Even if it's just like I'm in traffic and now I'm going to be late, part of the reason why I get so frustrated is because it means a lot to me to have integrity. It means a lot to me to be on time. So I can add that in when something happens, and I want to remind you of that. Even sometimes maybe you're trying to communicate with your partner and it's so frustrating and you're like, and then you go, well, it means a lot to me that I have a strong relationship, or that we get through this, or that I learn communication, or that he hears me, or that I feel seen, right? It just brings a flavor of self-compassion that often we may get riled up from the other reasons as well. But sometimes we're being riled up because it just really means a lot. And maybe a boundary was crossed, or a value was hit, or something feels off. Something, as I said, fell through, or you quote unquote fell short of a goal. That's just because it means a lot to you and you want a really good life for yourself. And I'll acknowledge my clients, and it kind of helps them dissolve that energy. They're like, oh, I thought we were going to talk about what went wrong, why I didn't get the client. I'm like, we could talk strategy all day, but I just want to remind you that the reason you react this way is partially and a big part because it means a lot. You want this so bad for yourself, you can taste it. And that's a really great thing. And we can just feel that and go, yeah, you're right. So I want to talk for a second about how we can tell when a reaction is intuition or ego. So we're kind of, uncovering that stuff happens. And as we talk about this, you can start to be aware of like, oh yeah, when the coworker said the thing, maybe it was that I didn't feel seen. Maybe it tapped on something, deeper. Maybe when my friend group did this, it reminded me of being bullied or being excluded. Maybe it's projection. Like that person made me so angry, but it's also because I am judging them or I am judging myself for something. Maybe it's the shadow. We can start to look at these things. And I want to be clear, you don't even have to figure it all out. I feel like just listening and integrating and thinking about it and realizing we react from a rainbow of different reasons. It could be almost anything. And as we wrap this up, I'm of course going to give you tools, because then the power comes back in our hands. Sometimes it's clear. It's like there's no more pancakes left, and it reminds me of, nobody caring or being left out. And then I can give myself love. I can then act accordingly. I can move that energy through my body. I can hug myself. I can go to my inner child. Maybe if you realize something's happening because you feel unseen, you can stop and go, okay, to your husband, your wife, your partner, something, going, I want to just make sure you see me here because I'm feeling a little unseen. And you can, go back into the conversation explaining, and that may have a better outcome. It kind of just helps us to navigate. You don't have to decode, you don't have to figure it out, but having that awareness really, makes such a difference. So talking about intuition versus ego. Not every reaction is fear. Not every reaction is a wound. Not every reaction is something deeper that is to be remedied or healed or integrated. Sometimes a reaction is intuition. And for all of you that explore your intuition, whether you're new or you're seasoned, this conversation is important. We can always pay attention more and always be even more aware of those reactions, because I know there's been a time when you've had a very clear gut reaction, no feeling, yes feeling, to go on the trip, or this person's bad news, or this opportunity's a yes. And that can be an instant thing. So really being able to tell the difference, is this fear? Is this, my wound? Or is this intuition? That is a powerful awareness to have, and that is life-changing. So intuition feels I want to say calm. It can come in strong, but it feels grounded and it feels clear. So I've had, clients, and of course myself, where a job offer can come and it's like, no, that just doesn't feel right. And that can be that initial reaction. That can be coming from intuition. If a job offer comes and it's paying you a lot more than you've been paid before, and it's kind of crazy, and all of a sudden you're going like, oh my God, I feel unqualified. Like they're never going to choose me. Who am I to go after a job? That is a wound. But if you get an offer, or, something comes up and you hear inside, you feel inside, you feel compelled inside, you feel led to a strong yes or a strong no, that can be intuition, and it's grounded. That's the best way I can describe it. It's solid. It's like if emotions had a shape, it'd be like a solid block of yes. It's like definitive. Whereas our reactions and our mind and our pros and cons are a lot more scattered. I see like Swiss cheese, like it's got holes in it. It's very scattered. Okay, that probably doesn't make sense. Anyway, so even if intuition and that impulse and that nudge is uncomfortable, like it's kind of like, oh my gosh, there's a steadiness to it. It doesn't spiral. It doesn't have 1,000 reasons why yes and why no. It also doesn't rush you. It doesn't scream. It's a quiet knowing. It's almost like I said, compelled, like you're pulled, like it's magnetism. It's a quiet knowing. Whereas the ego or fear or a wound is usually loud, urgent, kind of like dramatic. So imagine, a big family reunion, and there's the loud, dramatic aunt or cousin or uncle or whatever. And then there's like the quieter, still, wise, grandpa. And those energies Maybe it's like the grandma crone versus like the teenager that's like, oh my God, right? Though that's kind of the difference. Ego feels more loud, more chaotic, more dramatic. Definitely weighing, as I said, pros and cons and just trying to protect you and trying to do the right thing, which is not wrong. It's not wrong to want to do the right thing. It's just coming from a place of like, panicky. Whereas intuition is steady. So when ego and reaction is going, what if this goes wrong? No, you can't do this. You can't trust them. Or what if I fail? Or nobody bought this program and that means I need to quit and I am not cut out for this. That is the ego. That is these wounds or projection. And again, it's fine. We're just pulling back the layers of it. So it pulls you into these stories. It almost rushes you and speeds you up and has you like, ugh. So when you're in reaction, you're usually not in intuition. You're in an activated state, an activated nervous system state. So the goal is not to shut yourself down. The goal is to learn how to move through it. We're going to be doing this in this new program because it's very much a body thing. Use your somatic practices, breathe through it, authentically moving through the emotion to access the clarity on the other side. Because your intuition comes from a grounded place. How often have you had a time where something happens, you're stressed out, maybe you had a phone call, a conversation, money stress, whatever's going on, and you decide to just cool off and maybe go for a walk? I want to imagine you're in this reaction, you're like, what the heck? They said this, what's going on? Whatever. I need to cool off, go for a walk. You go for a walk and maybe all of a sudden you're outside, the fresh air hits you, slowly you kind of like calm down. And pretty soon you're walking, you're starting to even maybe enjoy yourself a little bit in the moment, but you come to like this almost more central piece. And then maybe it's 10 minutes later, 20 minutes later, an hour later, or maybe even the next day. You kind of go, okay, I'm glad I didn't respond in the moment. What I need to do is do this, right? We need to have a conversation. I need to put out this program. I need to stay strong. I need to continue to work with my coach to move through this, or I need to go back to that conversation and this is what I need to say. Yep, this is what I need to do. Or you know what? I'm not ready for that yet. So I was putting a lot of pressure on myself. I think I actually need to pause, pour back into myself for like a month, and then let's go. That would be more your intuition coming forward. So I know I said a few examples altogether, but that's the place you'll come to after the reaction. So if it doesn't feel calm, if it doesn't feel centered, if it doesn't feel almost like wisdom inside, it's probably a reaction, no problem. That's what our brain does. That's what our body does. So moving through it to the other side, through the body, calming yourself down to get to that other side, that's where your intuition will meet you with that next step. So more tangibly, as we wrap up, how to shift from reacting to responding. Again, if you love this conversation, go listen to that other episode, reacting versus responding. So this is how we do it. It's not about never reacting. That's the first thing I want you to know. It's not about never reacting. It's about what you do when you do react. We are going to react until the end of our days. Or at least if we accept that, we look at it more like something we practice, a marathon, instead of like, I should be through this by now. I shouldn't react. Anytime you're shitting on yourself, it's not helpful. So in the moment when something happens, we want to first pause, create space. Even if you just stop and you're breathing, maybe you're really upset and you're like, and you're breathing heavy, that's fine. Just take a second. See if you can slow your breath a little bit. You don't have to meditate. I'm not going to ask you to get all zen and shit. Just take a moment to chill. Take a couple deep breaths. Put your hands somewhere it feels right. Might be your heart, your belly, your forehead, your low back, your womb space, your butt, whatever you want. Put your hands somewhere that feels good. And just take a few breaths and see if you can slow down just a little bit. And then start to come back into your body. And I was going to just give you BRB, but I've said it so many times. It's one of my go-tos because it's the best practice ever. But it is such an important thing. So B is breath, R is relax neck, shoulders, and B is body. Come back into your body. But we're explaining the same thing in a slightly different way. So we're pausing first, taking some breaths, slowing down, and then coming back into your body. Feel your feet. Relax your shoulders. Do what you can as you're listening to this. Even if you're walking or driving or something, just do what you can to relax your shoulders. Let go of your jaw. And even there, you start signaling to your nervous system, I'm safe, or we're inching towards safeness. We're looking towards safety. We can start to relax, and our body's kind of like an onion or like a lotus, like there's levels and it unravels, tension unravels. If you ever have done something like yin yoga or held a stretch, you literally feel the layers of tension unraveling in your hips or in your hamstrings or wherever. And that's the same with us. We have these layers. We want to, just give ourselves a minute to work down, to unfurl, to unclench. And then we can start to ask ourselves, is there something here that needs to be acknowledged? Is there something here that needs to be experienced or seen? Because sometimes, and this is going to challenge a lot of you, sometimes we don't actually need to work through it in the moment. Like, it's just funny because when we are in the moment, we're like, okay, that's my abandonment wound. Again, we start to get into trying to fix it. But we more just want to breathe. As I said at the beginning, people say experience it and integrate it. And what does that really mean? This is what it means. Feeling what you're feeling, breathing. We don't have to get rid of it. We just are breathing. We're slowing down. Coming back into our body. You can still have your stress thoughts. It's fine. Just come back into your body. Start to feel your feet. Start to relax your shoulders. Breathe deeper. Start signaling to your body that I am starting to be safe now. And then you can just inquire, is there something here that needs to be seen? Just continue breathing and feel the shift in your system. It's that simple. And then you can start to ask yourself, depending on the moment, depending on what it is. Sometimes it's a tiny thing you started thinking about. Other times there's a person that you need to have a conversation or something. But you can start to ask yourself, how do I want to respond? Instead of letting the reaction lead, you lead, your true capital S self. You lead. Ask yourself, who do I want to be in this moment? Who do I want to show up as? How do I want to show up? How do I want to respond to this is really the simplest question you could ask. And maybe you need to express something. Maybe you need to move the energy to get it out of your body. Sometimes you might need space. Sometimes it might just be fear and you want to give yourself love and encouragement. Sometimes we're just frustrated. And the amount of times I've put my hand on my heart and say, right now I'm just frustrated. And that's okay. I give myself love. It's as simple as that. All of what we feel is valid. So as we close, reactions are not the problem. They are information. And if something keeps looping and you go into a season of healing, it'll be because you're aware of why you're reacting. That will bring you into a season of healing, or it'll bring you into a season of also having the keys in your hand, you driving the bus. The reactions are not the problem. They are information. They are doorways. They are showing you what's tender, where the wounds are, what's unprocessed, what matters most to you, and also what needs your attention. So when you stop fighting or judging yourself for reactions and start looking at them, you could even write out places where you reacted just from the place of the witness, things that pissed you off today or the things lately that have really bugged you, and looking at it with love. I only say that because I trust in your self-awareness. I would never say to a random person off the street, really just go look at your stuff, without tools. But when we start to want something different for ourselves so much that we get sick of our own stuff, or we're just sick of that plateau and we are ready to bust through, this is how we bust through. We start looking at it and we stop fighting it and we start listening. Everything starts to change. Because then you're not stuck in cycles. You're in awareness. You are in conscious choice. You're in growth. So if something like the pancake debacle happened now, I would come down. I might go, oh, what? There's no pancakes? And they go, oh, sorry. Like I thought you were, I go like, oh, okay. No, I thought I told you, but okay. And if I feel something, I now might shake a little bit, like, like not necessarily like in front of them at the table. I might go into the other room kind of, but so quickly, I'd wrap my arms around myself, give myself loving words, remind myself it's not that I'm excluded or left out. It just simply was a misunderstanding. It doesn't mean anything, but I would say that from love. And I'd say, I've got your back. I know you felt that. It was kind of a shock. Now we got to readjust. And I love you. To myself, I'm saying that, and we will move through this. So now it's more resource. Now it's like, whoa, that reaction came up. Okay, yeah, that totally reminds me of this. And then, you know what, though? I know it's okay. And I know I love myself and I know I have my back. And I truthfully, at the other side of it, really do know that they would never purposefully exclude me from dinner. You know, I could just access that easier. So these reactions are not the problem. They are information. They are showing you what's tender or where you can give yourself love. They're showing you what matters most to you, what may be a little bit unprocessed. And either way, just know that you can give yourself love in these, that you're not stuck in these cycles. These are pockets of awareness. And in my full experience and education and over a decade experience with clients, these are actually the places where we make the most growth. This is what allows us to build the business, to change our body, to change our life, to feel better, to feel more mentally stable and well. This is it. This is the work. It's not separate from wealth or health or business. It is the epicenter of all of it. This awareness and moving out of the cycle of being like, why does this happen? And why do I shut down? And why is this never working? And seeing our looping patterns differently, bringing it into the body and becoming more steady, moving forward from that place. So the next time you feel a reaction, instead of going into all of the like, why am I like this? Why did I react this way? Or just like, they're a jerk. What the heck? Nobody cares. Try to breathe and just simply start with, this is a heightened reaction. It's okay to have a reaction. Slow down, as I said. Try to pause, even if you're in a bathroom stall or in your car or wherever, just try to slow it down a little bit. Take a breath, even if it's just internally. Come back into your body, feel your feet, drop your shoulders. Sometimes I even pinch my hand, something to bring me right back into my body. Breathe deeper and just be with it. Ask how you want to respond. And then if it's meant to be all self-growthed and decoded, it will. You'll see it. If it's meant to just be like something that chills you out so you can move forward accordingly, not in reaction, that's what'll happen too. And this is how we are even more resourced and move forward through these things that we haven't been able to move forward through. Okay, this was a longer one. I hope that it served you, my love. And I didn't mention in the beginning, but if you have not yet, grab a copy of my book, The Delicate Art of Transformation. As I say, like in my book, I describe this. It's literally everything we talk about on this show. It is the process of transformation that you will see yourself in deeply, and you will be able to bridge the gap into that next level. It is such a powerful and helpful book. I've been getting so many positive responses, so I thank you for that. And if you have grabbed the book, please, please write a review on Amazon. It makes a huge difference. And while I'm mentioning it, if you could write a review on the podcast, if you're willing to, that makes a massive difference as well. It's literally the thing you can do to support the show as well as support the book. I thank you so much for your time there and your generosity leaving the review. And with that, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye. Only thing you ever break,